Today, I'm walking you through a very simple plan to predictable, sustainable, and consistent 50K month. Are you ready? Let's get started. What's up, coach? Thank you so much for pushing play on another episode of the PT Profit Podcast. I'm your host, Beverly Simpson. And if this is the first time you're hanging out with me today, welcome. I'm super pumped that you're here. I'm really excited to dive into today's episode because I'm going to give you a full, honest, transparent look at what it actually takes to hit consistent 50K months and how you can do it specifically with what I like to think is the most scalable option on the planet. And I like to use paid lead acquisitions. Okay. And I'm going to give you a full, honest, transparent look at what this actually looks like and what the work actually takes and how you can actually work more efficiently and effectively and get back more of your time so that you can work less, still generate more without sacrificing your ethics, without sacrificing client results, and without practicing sleazy, old, outdated sales tactics. And so I am sharing this, and actually I'm right now batching my content, which you'll hear next week as well. But I actually recorded next week's episode first because this week we've really I've been personally taking a look at ethics and ethical marketing and understanding the difference between principles and working in the light, working versus the dark. And it's just, I've had a really incredible week. And so I recorded that episode first. So be sure to tune in next week because I wanted to, which I share in the episode, I just wanted to create some space between that episode and because of, current events. And I wanted some space between it. So definitely check out that episode next week. However, today I really wanted to just dive in the spirit of being honest and transparent. I really want to walk you through an easier way to create a pressure-free, permission-based sales system where it takes what it takes until it takes, where you get to use the hours of time that you're likely already using in a more efficient and effective way to generate some consistent, predictable, and sustainable growth in the long term in a way that can sustain any business. And I'm going to share with you two main reasons why I moved to this model and why I've been working on it in the last, 2 years essentially is because of some of the things that I went through both in 2023 as well as, in earlier than 2020, 2021. And the first reason which I've shared in other earlier podcasts was, I really wanted to get out of the launch model, and I really hated, and I still hate, and it's still true, I really hated this perpetual system of feast or famine, like a feast or famine model inside of businesses online. And so for those of you who are new to the online space and you're like, what's a launch? A launch is a one of those events or live events that you typically see inside of people's businesses where they promote their products and service and they use cohort style enrolling periods where it's only open for a limited time. Now, there are a couple of main reasons why this model works and how it can be really effective. And it's not about me moving away from this model to say that it's bad or wrong or doesn't work. It does. But the main reasons are like people like cohorts. I mean, we're indoctrinated even from the young kids to love cohorts in terms of education. We all start and end at the same time. We are human beings. We're designed to go through cycles. We see it even with seasons. We have seasons of spring and summer, fall, and there are seasons of I don't like push. I never push. Everything is always, intentional. And I listen to Andrea, who is, she talks about pleasure, right? So there is seasons of intention, season of devotion, as she also states. And then there's seasons of rest and recovery, just like when you're working out, you need that. So launch models can be really effective in that regard. And it really follows what human beings need, which is senses of season and cycles. Okay. So that's number one. And number two, launches work really well because we as human beings need deadlines. Like we need to have a reason to make a buying decision, whether the buying decision is no or not yet. And a deadline, which is, doors are closing, is a really, 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 really effective way to encourage that. Now, not to put people in harm, not to lie, not to do any type of unethical, a fake deadline. We're not doing any of that. That's why launching can be really effective. Okay. Now, the cons of launching, which I found were for me and why I don't love launching in this regard, is because I was binding myself, which I've shared in the past, but I was in this feast or famine cycle where I was I need to hit this and then I'll do that. And I was finding that I was feeling like, I was saying yes to things that were not in my highest good in an effort to feed the next launch. Now, the reason why I think that this particular business model is hard for really high achieving successful coaches is because we are perpetually in the, almost, happiest in the chase. And it didn't matter what the goal was. I kept moving the goal post and it was never feeling like it was enough. And for me, I had to say that I am no longer available to for that because it was putting unnecessary pressure on me, on my team, it was putting unnecessary pressure in places that it didn't need to be. And so I needed to get off that. And in addition to that, it was causing me to stay present in not enoughness, not enough and feeling like I was finding myself saying things like,
oh man, I only enrolled 10 people.
These were 10 people that were saying yes to themselves. And I was finding myself not present with the people that were in my world. And that I said, I'm no longer available for that. I need to have a different way. And so this was when I put together the hybrid sales system because it's not that launching, which is just a presentation of an offer with a deadline, was bad or wrong, but I needed a way where I needed to personally remove the pressure. And so this is when I moved to a more evergreen model. Now, evergreen means one of two things. One, evergreen means that they can buy something at any time, or they're in their own personal launch. So you'll see this a lot with automations or, evergreen webinars, as is a very prime example of this. So what I decided to move to was more of a hybrid sales system. So what this looks like was something like Apple. So Apple is a company that does this very well, where they will do, they have something to sell every single day, as well as they will, do promotions for their new stuff where they have deadlines or they have scarcity. And so the principles of putting together an irresistible offer doesn't go away, but there is more strategy and there's more strategy around what needs to be done in order to make sales every single day. So I realized I needed to move and wanted to move more to a hybrid sales system. And that's what I built inside of my business. Okay. And I'm going to break down today how we're going to do that and how this works. Okay. That was number one. Then number two, I recognized and realized in my industry, there was this perpetual, presence and pressure of you need to do high ticket only, high ticket only, high ticket only, high ticket only. And there's messaging around if you do low ticket, lower investment, then you are cannibalizing your business and you can't have a successful business with low ticket offers. And I thought to myself,
that is absolutely ludicrous and not true. Okay. It's just plain and simply not true.
And we're going to break down why I'm saying that. And I'm going to share with you some of anecdotal evidence as a means to demonstrate that that's just plain and simply not true. Okay. And the thought process behind it, as someone who's been in this industry for over 10 years and in fitness specifically and in selling products and building businesses specifically, here's what I've come to learn and discover. Number one is that people will say things like, oh, well, if you sell low, it takes just as much effort to sell something low ticket as it does to sell something high ticket. So why not do high ticket? Okay. So let's just say for an instance, that's true. So if we apply that same logic with low ticket, it would sound like it takes just as much work to sell something for free as it does to sell something low ticket. So why not just sell something low ticket? Okay. So the truth of the matter is both of that actually is true. Okay. Both of that is true. It is true. Because really when we are looking at the principle, meaning that this is the actual truth of what needs to happen in order to take someone who's never heard of you before and turn them into a client or customer, we need to carry people through a ladder of believability where they believe in you, meaning they believe that they know that you exist. Where you can't buy from the internet's best kept secret. And you can either do that with borrowed authority, or you do that with ads, or you do that with organic traffic. Like straight up, you just need people traffic, and there are multiple ways to do this. Okay. Then what we need to do is have them believe in your offer. We need to demonstrate our expertise, and we need to provide a sense of trust in the process, not in you as a person. And people get that wrong. And then we need to help show that we need to help them see that they need to believe in themselves, that they can do it. People miss this. People aren't going to become a buyer if they don't think that they can do it, if they don't think the process works for them. And then we need to show them that they need it now. And you do this through inner urgency. You do this through deadlines. You do this through expiring deadlines. There's so many strategies and ways to help someone make a buying decision. That doesn't mean force or coerce or convince or practice unethical tactics. It means that we are just communicating every single day because it's our responsibility as a business owner to show up powerfully and call in the people who are seeking you. Because if you have this desire of your heart, if you can go all in on your heart and trust that what you are here to do is help people, then it's inevitable that the people who are meant for you are also looking for you. Because if it wasn't true, then you could be a kindergarten teacher. You could do anything. But there's a reason you want to do this. There's a reason you want to put in efficient work to do this. Because at least when you start, you could probably make more money as a Starbucks manager. So what could it look like if you just go all in on you? And so with that said, what I came to realize is a couple of things. Two things happened to me. The first thing was I recognized that my colleagues and people who were doing what it is that I was doing and still to this day, they have more visibility. Because the internet can't buy because you can't buy from the internet's best kept secret. And so when it really comes to growth both in traffic, in prospects, and in leads, growth comes down to visibility, value, and volume. Visibility meaning that they need to see you. Value, which is where we are providing clear paths, we're shifting perspective, and we're giving clients results in advance and inviting them to say yes to themselves. And volume just in the sheer amount of touch points so that you stay top of mind and top of market. That is what it is required to grow a business. So how are you supposed to do that if you don't have an unlimited ad budget like many of your competitors? Well, you have one or two options. Some people will teach you to just go pound the pavement and go DM 100 people and just like go, use other people's audience, which can be powerful. Okay. But in my opinion, it's not a good use of your resources, time, energy, effort, and money. Because for everything you're saying yes to, you are also saying no to something else. So for me, while I could go DM 100 people, that feels sleazy to me. I don't love doing that because I don't like to, I hate it when people do it to me. And then I also hate it when they lie and they say things like,
"Hey, Business and Fitness, love your content."
when you fully know they haven't even gone to your profile. So I don't want to do that. So then what's the alternative? Well, for me, I use that. Because this is how I can get my content in front of the people who need to see it without having to do it manually. I can use pennies, literally penny, to push my content out into the algorithms to share with people what it is that I do. And then invite them to come and engage or not. So now what happens to people when they hear like ads is either they've been told you can't do ads until you hit 10K a month, or they're told that ads are scary, dangerous, you're gambling, so on and so forth. Okay. And so for me, and then, they've also been told that, oh, well, ads, all your competitors have ads and you can't compete with them. Okay. So for me, I looked at it and I was like, well, is that really true? And the answer is no, because for so many reasons, but number one, it's not true. And number two, who says you can't build an unlimited ad budget yourself? And this is what I like to help my people do. Build an unlimited ad budget, and how you do this specifically, and what we like to do is I like to use free and low ticket offers, and I use it in one or two ways. Where I invite someone to come into something for free, and then I give them a paid option to enhance the free experiment or the free experience. And that is something that is paid. Okay. And I'm inviting someone to say yes, because people love to buy things they hate to be sold to. And you inviting someone to say yes to themselves has nothing to do with you. It's just like going to the grocery store. You don't have to be coerced or convinced to buy groceries. And you're not here, and I'm not here, and you're not here to convince anyone of anything. It's your job to show up, be present, and invite someone to say yes. So then we use low ticket offer so that we can offset our ad spend. We either offset or we get a one return ROAS, which stands for return on ad spend, right off the bat. So for every dollar that you use, you get $1 back. And then you use that revenue to grow in visibility. You give your clients results. And why? Because your clients show up. How many times have you downloaded something for free with the best of intention to use it, and then you don't? And then one or two things happen. You start to spiral down the oh, see, I can't do it. It's not for me. I guess I'll just go get those pills or whatever. And maybe your clients do the same thing. Or keep promising yourself you're going to do it, but you don't. In order for your clients to actually get results, to consume your stuff, to actually show up, they need to have enough of an emotional investment. And it's not for us to decide what's expensive. Expensive compared to what? So then when you have those resources, that's going to actually help you help more people. Because now when you have these accessible options, so I have free, I have accessible, I can invite them into the premium experiences. And this is what I like to do and what I like to help my clients do. Because then the low ticket offers tend to be the people who do one of three things. They show up because they're invested and they get results. So now they've bought into your process. Okay. Second thing is that there's no gatekeeping, there's no lying, and there's no misleading. Why? Because every time you solve a problem, good news, there's a new problem that your premium offer is going to fix. Okay. Then 3, when you have the resources that are needed, you can then pour into more people and help people that maybe not have the same amount of accessibility as you do. Why do I say this? I say this because, people who come into my world, they just want to help people. And so I get that. And inviting someone to show up for themselves is helping people. And if you really want to provide resources and donate your time and build a nonprofit, the first thing that people do is collect resources, time and money. And so the more resources you have access to, both in time, energy, effort, and money, the more you're going to be able to pour into others. Collecting resources does not inherently make you bad. It amplifies more of who you are. So then, now that we have these audiences of people who bought, they're more likely, statistics have shown us that they are more, it's much, 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 much cheaper on the business to have lifetime customer value, meaning that they renew, than it is to acquire a new client. And so now we invite buyers to come into our premium offers. And now you can do more, generate more with less. So we put together these free and low ticket offers. We sell 100 of these low ticket offers. And then we invite them into a sales mechanism and we continue to nurture them in a pressure-free environment, because now it's literally like it just takes what it takes until it takes. And you don't have any urgency or need or feast or famine. I need to hit these launch revenue numbers. And then go into feast or famine launch revenue numbers. And then you invite them into the premium offer. And then you can scale it up and you can turn on the faucet and it just goes until it goes. And then you can withstand fluctuations in the market because you know your numbers. And then you can start to just scale yourself up. And so now the other reason why this process is super, why I needed this process as well as the mental load that I talked about, something else that had happened to me in 2023, which I've shared a lot about now, is that I had started doing this process, but then I went into a program that had told me that I needed to go for the volume. I needed to switch my strategy. I needed to go for the volume, which I did. And it worked. I don't want to say that it didn't work because it did. However, what happened was I ran into a cash flow problem because of two things. Was that I made the mistake of making buying decision on deferred cash, which are making business decisions on deferred cash, which thank God that happened to me so that I can recommend to you to never do that. A. And then B, what happened was that I was not collecting one ROAS, and I found myself getting back into that feast or famine cycle again. And then I couldn't scale up because all these contracts that were supposedly supposed to come in, I had a majority of them default, which you probably can see and understand why the math of that you start to get into trouble. And so then I realized pretty quickly that my profit margins were at stake. And we had to do some serious course correcting, which we have now done. And now I'm still holding the bag for 2023, so we're not scaling as fast as I would like. Hindsight's always 20/20. I wish I could be here where I am now back then from last summer, but that's okay. I can own that. I can be responsible for that. Now I can help more people, not make the same mistakes that I made. And I love watching my clients succeed. I just got off a call with one of my head coaches, and we were just talking about how powerful this process is. And we love seeing our clients succeed, and they're crushing it. Even people who are brand new to the people who are, putting this method in, set up to scale, and they just want a funnel that pays for itself. And so if you're curious about how this process would work for you, there's two things that we could do. You can come to do a profit plan with us, literally no pressure. It goes against our company mission and values to put any pressure on anyone. So if you're curious about if this process could work for you or how it could work for you, then schedule a profit plan. That's number one. Or you can come join me live in a training that I'm doing called Simple Scaling, where you'll walk away with a clear understanding of how to set up a system to scale that is consistent, predictable, and sustainable. So if you're curious about what that could look like, then be sure to check in the show notes, join me for the training, the Simple Scaling training, or you can schedule a profit plan for a customized process. So both are free. Would love to see you there. And if you have any questions, my DMs are open. Feel free to tag me and feel free to DM me, chat to me there. And if this episode helped you, it'd be a huge favor to me. You can screenshot it and share this on your socials. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I'll catch you on the next training.